You want to learn to DJ? I'm going to show you the basics. I'm not going to charge a thing. This is your sign. If you're looking at getting your first set of decks, get them. If you've got decks sitting in the cupboard or up the loft gathering dust and you always regret not getting them out and actually learning them, get them out, dust them off. The next few videos I'm doing will show you how to get started, and then you just practice from there. You make it dead easy. You ready? All I need to do is clear up that space and we can get started. Right, before we get into the actual DJing side, we're looking at the software. So at the moment I am on Rekordbox. Now I've used every bit of software over the years, from Traktor to this Rekordbox to Engine for the Denon stuff. I've used Serato, Virtual DJ and all the other sort of ones over the years. To be fair, Rekordbox for Pioneer and Alpha Theta, I'm not a massive fan of the software. The hardware's tremendous, so you've kind of got no choice but to go with it. So it's better just to learn it if you're getting Pioneer. But if you've got anything else, it's all very similar, to be fair. What I'm going to do at the moment, I've got playlists set there. Let's say I want to add a new playlist, so I've got my files in the computer and I've already built the playlist that I want. So I've got one there called Accidental Sensation, which is like my kind of Jack and House stuff. So if I wanted to add that as a playlist on the software, I literally just click and drag it into playlists. I'm going to drop that down, and then I have a look in my playlists. Accidental Sensation is there at the bottom. If this was a new file, if it hadn't been pre-scanned by the software, it would come up and all this would be blank. There'd be no info there, as it's scanning every track. At the moment, because the software recognises the tracks, all my data's there. And this is the reason that we do this, is because we get to see the file path or the actual waveforms, but it also tells us like BPM. So we'll talk about BPM a bit more in a second, but that's all my tracks there and analysed. Nice and easy, dead easy to set up. Okay, so I am now set up and we're going to talk about equipment, right? So absolutely the best equipment for you is either the decks that you've got or the decks that you can afford. Do not get hung up on, oh, it needs to be this, it needs to be that, because you're just chasing and you didn't need it, right? There's an old saying for us, is all you ever needed was 2 slabs and a fader. So we're saying slabs, you've got your slab 1 left, slab 2 on the right, and a fader. Nothing else matters. That's really all you need for you to get started. This is a really bobby basic controller. They become huge. There's mixers at the minute that are bigger than that. Loads of buttons, loads of dials, really intimidating. Doesn't matter what you're using. 2 slabs and a fader, that's all you ever need. This thing, I mean, I started out, I got my first set of Sound Labs in 1996 or 97. Belt drive turntables, absolutely rubbish. But that's what I learned on, and that's what I started buying vinyl on. And then I got my first set of Technics. I've had more sets of Technics than I can even count. I couldn't even tell you, between the vinyl Technics and then the SLDZ with CDJs. I think I had 2 or 3 sets of them. They were absolutely stunning, beautiful to look at, beautiful to use. Looked really good just sitting in a living room. They're really sexy, but Technics kind of messed up the whole digital music thing, where Pioneer done really well with that at the start. And that's one of the reasons that Pioneer became the industry standard and stole it from Technics. But since then, I've had all sorts of stuff. I've had Newmark mixed tracks. I had a Prime Go, Prime 2. I've had 3 Prime 4 Pluses. I've had RX3s. I've had RXs. I've had Traktors, so I've had S4 Mark 2s. I had an S8 at one point. I had the S2. Honestly, I've had 50 different types of DJ equipment. And I swear to God, this is all I'm using at the minute. That's a wee DDJ 400. And I use that all the time. I use that when I'm at home messing about and stuff. I use that in the club. It's no massive capacity, so I wouldn't take that to a festival, for example, but it's plenty for what I need. It's got enough on it. Now, I done a video with this a few months ago and somebody commented saying, oh, Fisher Price decks. Again, 2 slabs and a fader. If you can't DJ with 2 slabs and a fader and you need all the buttons and dials, you shouldn't be DJing. Do you know what I mean? And that's what we're covering, is like the basics. So I didn't want you to get bogged down with like, what does this button do? What does that dial do? How can I make it sound like this? How can I make it sound like that? Learn the foundations, learn the basics, spend time learning how a track is made and how to blend from side to side, from left to right, and start nailing transitions, because that's the best way to keep going. Because if you're nailing transitions, as soon as you've got a decent collection of music and you can nail your transitions, you can go and do like parties at Palaces, practice in the house, even do TikTok lives and that. Nobody will be any the wiser. It's like anything, the more you do, the better you get, but you learn the foundations and then you just build on that from experience, you know what I mean? So this is what we're looking at today, right? Now I've got my software loaded up. So how it works is that my laptop's powered as a laptop's powered. I've got a USB which is powering this, and at the back of this I've got my red and white which goes into my wee speaker set. None of this is really expensive. The laptop was 250 quid from Cash Converter. The DDJ 400 was actually free, but that's because when I had my RX3, one of the staff that I worked with poured water all over it. I don't know if that was deliberate or not, but then after that somebody spilled a Venom, and I'm just sick of spending the best part of £2 replacing equipment every time somebody gets a bit fucking nippy, do you know what I mean? My mate had one of these sitting in his house. He's gone back to vinyl and he's like, oh, you can have a shot of that. And then after a few weeks he's like, just keep it. So I've had this for about the last 6 months and I've absolutely rinsed it in. It's seen more mileage than probably anything, and it's thrown some absolutely epic parties. Great speakers, the DJ monitors, the Hercules, they were 70 or 80 quid on eBay. They're not the best. I had them as M-Beat or some M something, they were good. Rockets are really good, but again, you didn't need to spend 400 or 500 quid. This is more than enough to get you started. So what we're going to do is go through the basics of a track. So we start by talking about BPM. So BPM is beats per minute. All tracks are structured, all dance tracks, even drum and bass, hip hop, anything is structured as a BPM. And our job is to try and blend the BPMs. Now we can take BPMs from anywhere. So if you look at an average hip hop record is anywhere between 90 and 100 BPM. Deviates slightly, but that's your average. Let's say something that you would know. So Horny by Mousse T, you got me horny, that was 123 BPM as standard. Hannah Lang, to give you another reference, is anywhere between 140 145 BPM. So that's the range. If you're into heavy techno, you're looking at 150 to 170 BPM. If you're into the Phantasm and Teletech and all that sort of stuff. Again, it doesn't really matter. All you're going to do is find the stuff that you like to play and build your folders around that. Follow my previous step, getting your folders built in the laptop or your computer, and then put them into your playlist, and then that gets you started, right? So, to give you an idea how this is working, I've tried to find songs that are just a bit of a beat intro so that I don't get flagged for copyright. So we're going to play one, 125 BPM, right? So this is how 125 BPM sounds. On the flip side, I've got 127. Right, so obviously they're not going to go. So when they say what the DJs actually do, this will give you an idea how it sounds together. And that's what we call a double beat. And that's what you always try to avoid, was a double beat. So, with this, I'm going to cheat, right? Now, I'm not an advocate for the sync button. The sync button is something that will sync the BPMs together. I never really used it. I didn't like it at all. But on this wee unit, because the slider is so delicate, it'll just jump dramatically. So, I mean, even just touching it a wee bit, it goes up to 132. So I didn't bother with that. When I'm sitting at a comfy BPM and I'm going to sit there for maybe 20-30 minutes, I'll just sync it. And that way, what I found with this wee unit is it stops it from bleeding. So what sometimes happens is, while the songs will show 126, one of them will maybe go slightly faster or just slightly slower. And then after a certain amount of time, after a minute or two, it will start to phase out and you've got to kind of bring it back in. Again, you're going to learn all that. Just focus on your basics. You'll learn when a beat's coming out and how to fix that. Again, that's kind of advanced. The sync will keep you right in the meantime. It just means that your beats are generally on point and it should be enough for you to transition from one to the other, right? So I do 125 on the left slab. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the beat sync on the right. That's coming in at 125 too. What I'm doing now is I'm counting. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And what you find, if you get the count right, 1, 2, 3, 4, every time you go to 1 is when a the track will change. So the track might go until you count 1 to 4, maybe 20 times. But as soon as there's a change in the record, it always happens on a 1 count. So you want to anticipate that, and when it's going to the 1 count, you'll bring the next record in. So we do that 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, bring the next one in. So that was a change to that, and I brought the next beat in. Now hopefully, when the beat kicks back in on the left slab, we should be matched. That's our beats matched, to let you see how that looks. And what we're looking for is the wee red lines are matching. And that's your 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. It's easy. So if you followed me this far, get your decks out, get them powered up, and just practice that. And just keep practicing that.